here, the Travelers in Mexico, and the face you don't recognize is our friend Buddy.
Lori here.
Lori here. By the way, Buddy is a subscriber, in case you haven't already subscribed. So, we've known Buddy for about 2 years, just sort of virtually, never met in person until yesterday. But Buddy's got some experience in Mexico, so Buddy, why don't you tell us about where you've been in Mexico, what your thoughts are?
So I moved from Massachusetts to Green Bay, Wisconsin, and both of which had far too much winter for me. And I retired and then moved to Guadalajara, and I lived in Colonia Americana in a great little studio there, and had been interviewed before by some friends from the Philippines on YouTube, and a number of American expats came down to visit. We had a lot of fun together.
How long were you in Guadalajara?
I was there for 6 months, which, as many of you know, is a tourist card here in Mexico. It was very easy at that point to get 180 days sight unseen, no questions asked. As if you've watched Paulette and Mark before, you probably heard recently there's much more hesitancy about immigration giving you that 180 days.
Hey, tell that story about the guy that was on the bus with you, how much time he got.
Yeah, I met this Aussie guy on the bus here from Mexico City, and he initially got 2 or 3 days, and so obviously he wasn't expecting that. He had to quickly go to the States and then come back, and I actually didn't ask him how many days he has now. I don't believe it's still 180 though.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, so it's a selective thing.
Yeah. You, however, did receive 180 days.
I did. I just turned on the charm and act pitiful. I actually told him I was going to be in Mexico City for a week, which was more or less the truth, and then I was going to come down and visit friends. And he said, well, how much would you like? And I said, 180 days if it's possible. And he wrote 180 days and was on my merry way.
So talk to us about Guadalajara.
Guadalajara is the second largest city in Mexico. I live in a very, very nice neighborhood. Colonia Americana is a very nice neighborhood. And I didn't really get it. I didn't see as much as Guadalajara, being there 6 months as they did. Being there, how long were you guys there?
4 or 5 days.
Right, and they saw tons more than I did. I didn't really do much. I'm a writer, so I spent a lot of time writing. The food is outstanding all over Mexico. It's certainly that's the case in Guadalajara. I lived about a 10-minute walk from one of the real heavy restaurant areas called Avenida de Chapultepec. I loved Guadalajara. I found it is a little bit too large for me. This city's about 1.2 million or so. Guadalajara is something like 6 million.
Yeah.
Is that about right?
I'm not sure. I thought San Luis was about 1 million. But anyway.
Yeah, let's not quibble over 200,000.
Yeah. So, what was it that initially drew you to land in Guadalajara?
And why did you want to come to Mexico? 2 questions in one.
Okay, 2 questions in one. When I decided to retire at 63, I only had the money that the government was going to give to me from Social Security, and I didn't think I could live on that in the U.S. So I started. We had sort of met from watching the same YouTubers, being Tangerine Travels and Kinetic Kennons, and Tangerine Travels had gone to Mexico. Had gone to Guadalajara, and I really liked it. And they were really high on it. So I said, all right, I'm going to go to Guadalajara. That's initially how I got there. What was the other part of the question?
That was like a year ago then, huh?
That was a year ago, a year and a half ago. What is it now,
ago.
February? February is when I left Guadalajara for Bali. I got in Guadalajara, I think it was August or so.
Okay.
Okay, well, tell about, so did you enjoy being in Guadalajara for those 6 months?
I did. I loved it.
Okay.
The food was great. As you can tell, I'm a gregarious fellow, and I happened to find out about a meetup group who it was being sold as free on Meetup as an advanced English conversation group, where expats and Mexicans could practice each other's language. Truthfully, it was all about getting together with people you like and eating and drinking. And so we did that.
Those are the best kind of meetups, aren't they?
Yes, they are. It was every Thursday at this local restaurant, walking distance from my studio. And I won't say the name of the place simply because we sometimes would meet there even during the lockdown.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sort of
And then-
speakeasy-like.
Okay. All right. So then you were there for 6 months. Your visa's now over.
Yep.
So what did you do?
So a friend of mine and I were talking about, and he lives in the Philippines, we're talking about possibly getting an apartment together in Indonesia. And he had, even though his intention was more like Jakarta, he had sent me a photograph of this place in Bali. And it made up my mind. I was smitten with Bali. And so I up and moved to Bali.
And did he?
Nope, he's still in the Philippines. I spent 5 days in quarantine where I had my first dragon fruit. I mean, not dragon fruit, snake fruit. And that was okay. Because my only experience with Jakarta was from the airport to the quarantine hotel. As we discussed, I thought, oh, this looks just like Guadalajara.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay, so then you were there for how long?
I was in Bali for 6 months. I stayed in a little town on the East Coast called Sanur. My initial plan was to go to Kuta and Seminyak on the western coast, which is where all the surfing is, and then stay there a week and then go to Sanur. I knew Sanur because I'm an inveterate researcher, and I knew that's where the retirees and families were. And the other side was a bunch of backpackers. Great people, just don't want to be around. So I ended up in Sanur. I was on one of the Facebook groups, and I met this woman, Rosemary, and her boyfriend, Simon. And she said, well, since you're coming to Sanur, why don't you just come for a week, you can stay in our place, and then decide if you want to go to Seminyak. And I stayed in their place that they were renting but not living in because they had their own place. And they offered me a decent deal on rent in the place that they were renting, so I was sort of sub-renting it. And it was a 2-bedroom, very traditional Balinese house. It eventually just got to be too big for me, and there was no pool, and Bali is hot.
After your 6 months, you left there and went back to the States for a little bit.
I did. I went to New Hampshire. I'm from Massachusetts, so as we call it, Cow Hampshire. I enjoyed that. I got to see my first real New England autumn, which was beautiful, beautiful colors. It was in the Lake District of New Hampshire, the Piedmont of the mountains. And then winter came. And that made me say, this is why I left the United States.
And so what did you do? Where did you go?
From New Hampshire, where I got to do a little gold panning, made no money, I came to Mexico City, and I stayed there for 5 nights, and then took the 6-hour-long comfortable bus ride
To San Luis.
to San Luis.
What was your impression of Mexico City for the time that you were there?
Was that your first time in Mexico?
First time
City?
in Mexico City.
Okay.
I was only, I really didn't go past a block away. I
Oh.
needed to get a SIM card for my phone, and got into a conversation with people who spoke less English than I spoke Spanish, but we managed to figure out, just go over here, you can get a SIM card.
Right.
Because Mexicans, as you know, are wonderful people.
They are. They are friendly, helpful.
All of that.
Yeah.
Yeah. For those people considering to move to Mexico, what can you tell them? I mean, what from your experience?
I can't recommend it enough.
Yeah.
It's an advantage, obviously, to make money, American money, and spend it in pesos. The cost of living here is better. Frankly, the cost of living almost anywhere is
It's
better
better
than
than
the U.S. Bali was the same way.
Yeah.
The food in Mexico, and I've only been in a very small area. my desire is to go to everywhere in the world and eat their food.
Okay. And then you, obviously you watched some of our videos, some
did.
of other
Yep.
videos, maybe like the Tower of David and stuff on
Yep.
their videos on San Luis Potosi. And what did you see in those videos that really drew you to come here?
Besides us, of course.
Besides you guys, I mean, the beauty of, I've only been here a day, so I haven't seen it yet, but the beauty that it looked like San Luis Potosi has, there's a serenity I feel here that I did not feel so much in Guadalajara. I lived in a very busy area, so as we talked about, my Spanish is abysmal to non-existent, and there'd be these truck drivers coming around daily shouting stuff, and I thought either the world is going to end or they want my mattress or something.
Yeah.
And that's what it was.
Right.
Wanting mattresses,
Or your
like
appliances?
appliances or couches, whatever that you have.
This is the sound of old mattress pickup, and I believe they also pick up other appliances too that people have just thrown out.
So they had that in Morelia too.
Yeah.
So they had that. They have it everywhere, and it's the same recording. It's kind of like this kid's voice or
Yes,
something,
it is.
like a 10-year-old kid voice. Keep playing over and over, and it's everywhere. Morelia was the same voice that's here in San Luis. So I'm sure it was the same voice
In Mexico City.
There was one like that, because the one I was speaking of initially was just a man's voice, but there was this sound. It sounded like I'm hearing a schoolyard in the background, and I heard it like what seemed like the same spot, and then I went to a different part of the city, and I'm thinking the same kids are in this part of the city.
So you're here. They gave you the 180 days.
Yep.
And I don't know. What are you hoping to do in those 180 days?
Well, I'm hoping to go with them tomorrow to look at a place to live, and just to chill out in Mexico and never
Maybe.
reminisce about the snow again.
Maybe get out and explore some
Yeah.
more. And
I think so this time. I didn't really do much of that, as I said. You guys have seen more of the city I lived in than...
yeah, I was surprised for as long as you were in Guadalajara
Yeah.
that you didn't really get out and go to
No.
like Tlaquepaque or any of the other places that
Yeah.
are nearby.
Part of it was not knowing anyone. You know, I'm a talker, and so I want to share those experiences. And and you guys, and probably the people I'm going to live with.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So we'll take you to some places.
Yeah.
We'll show you around, and
Maybe the museum.
yeah. The
All right.
Lenora Carrington Museum. That's one of my favorites, and I'm not a museum buff by any means, but I love her art. It's just that alien-looking metal that she uses, and I just think it's really cool. And we even when we were in Guadalajara, there was, I forget the name of that museum that we went to in Guadalajara, where they had a bunch of like those bizarre-looking chairs and stuff like that. That was there. You know, I'm posting some of that on our Facebook page
Facebook
now.
Also titled The Two Travelers in Mexico.
Right. We have a Facebook page too, where you can ask questions and things like that. It's a pretty good
I'm also a member.
page, I think. Yeah,
That's
it's a pretty
right.
good page, and we post different articles. People are welcome that join that want to post about Mexico and things like that. We have a couple of YouTubers that are on there that post their videos on there too.
Mostly it's just about day-to-day life in Mexico.
Yeah, and people that have questions, ask them, and people are pretty helpful on giving them responses and stuff like that. But all right, so what else can we cover, buddy?
Well, the museum aspect, I am a museum guy. That was my career for 20 years.
yeah.
So anytime we can do something like that, I love art of all kind.
And I think here with your
There are a lot of
Inapan
museums.
card, you can get a discount or pay hardly anything either.
There are a lot of museums here in Mexico. I mean, from just about anything you can imagine, from the Centro de las Artes, where the Leonora Carrington Museum is, to the Museum of Masks and everything in between.
Yeah.
So if you're a museum lover, you'll love Mexico because the museums are all over the place.
Yeah. And the weather's perfect. Weather's, I mean, it's great. It beats the snow, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think because I had this feeling, Americans, when they have a thought of Mexico, I think there's a limited thought. And I certainly didn't realize, and I think most people don't know just how vast Mexico is and how many different cultures and cuisines are here.
Yeah.
Now, we talked a little bit the other day about like our experience, like when we were telling our friends and family, oh, we're going to go to Mexico, their reactions.
Yeah.
And what were the reactions from people when you told them you were going to go to Mexico?
You're going to die.
Yeah.
The cartels are going to kill you.
Yeah.
Don't act stupid and nothing will happen to you.
Yeah.
You'll be murdered 10 minutes after crossing the border.
Yeah. I'll be honest. I mean, I lived in Boston when I was young. But when I got to Guadalajara, I actually felt safer in Mexico. And, you know, first of all, I didn't think about Mexican politics. It's not my business, it's not my country. And so that was a real load off. You know, it's like, okay, no politics here. None that I have to think about.
Yeah. And that is the nice thing, too, is you're not, bombarded with politics and news 24/7 here,
Right.
like you are in the U.S.
And if I am, I can't understand what it is.
Yeah. So, all right. Any final thoughts?
Yeah, any final thought? I mean, what would you say to somebody that's hesitant about moving to Mexico? What would your, if somebody said, well, I'm thinking about Mexico, but I hear all this stuff, and what would your reaction be? This is your second time here.
Never live your life in fear, and Viva Mexico.
There you go.
2 thumbs up for me.
Yeah. 3 thumbs up.
Well, that was 6, but
Arithmetically.
I meant three people, 6 thumbs. I don't know what I was thinking.
that's new math.
Right.
So,
Okay, so that's a pretty good response.
Yeah, come to Mexico. Come to Mexico.
I mean, he's been to Mexico once, went to Bali, and then back into Mexico again. So, if he was fearful or whatever, he wouldn't have stayed the whole 6 months, and he wouldn't come back a second time.
No.
yeah, exactly.
So I think a lot of it is, don't listen to the propaganda media that's out there, what they tell you about Mexico. I mean, that's what I think, buddy.
It's nothing but lies.
Yeah.
Nothing but, like you said, propaganda. The people here are amazing.
They are.
Absolutely, they are.
With my abysmal Spanish, they're always trying to help, and that's not always the case. I lived in nice places in the U.S.
Yeah.
where it was, but
But that's the thing here. Like if you're talking to a Mexican and they see you stumbling through your Spanish, they try to help you
yeah.
as much as they
I think
can.
they would rather have us speak bad Spanish than no Spanish.
Yeah.
And
Right.
and I have a friend who's a world traveler as well, and his videos are, in my opinion, he's not trying to acclimate to the culture at all. I said, I won't say his name, but here's the word in the country you're in for hello. Don't go to people and say hello, hello. No. Don't be an ugly American. Be a good guest in the country you go to.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So, from Always the Two Travelers in Mexico, you gonna help me out here, buddy? What I always do when I end?
What they did.
Bye, guys.
Bye.